I realized at a very early stage that really good food is about cooking and flavor. It's not about meat. I realized it wasn't the meat that tasted so good, it's what chefs did to it. And I realized that you have to appeal to people through flavor. Most people would rather have a great vegetarian dish rather than a bad meat dish. People want good food. Cook good food and they will come. Die-hard carnivore, and I found out where meat came from at an early age, and I was hit with this immediate ethical dilemma. It hit me like a ton of bricks that something so delicious could be representative of such cruelty. I just had to find this vegetarian way of life, so I taught myself to cook that way, how to get these layers of flavor, these deep, smoky, roasted, caramelized, wonderful depths of flavor into my food. I said maybe I could do this professionally. Maybe people really do want the same kind of food. So I opened up my first little cafe.
I ended up working with Rich for one summer at the restaurant way back in the day because I was already a customer. I loved it. I was able to go to work every day, be challenged and inspired in a restaurant environment, eat the most delicious food, and have immediate gratification where customers were like, this is so delicious. If I could eat this way all the time, I could be vegetarian.
And people were coming in like crazy, not just hippies and stoners and health nuts, but families, people in suits and ties. They're all coming in for this food. The radish is just so representative of what we've always tried to do.
I always pointed to it as one of my favorite dishes because it really just encapsulated what we were trying to do. You take this very humble vegetable like a radish, you just think of your plain salad bar radish, and yet there's so many varieties of radishes and you can do so many different things to bring out their colors, flavors, textures.
We have purple ninjas right now, Spanish black skin radishes, of course watermelon radishes. They have this flesh that just eats so beautiful and silky and creamy. When you cook them, people say it looks like ahi tuna, and it's something no one would have ever expected from a radish. There is kind of a Japanese underlying theme here. We use smoked soy sauce. We have a yuzu avocado puree that helps add the richness when you eat it. We have what we call nori soil, which is black sesame seeds, black salt, and nori ground up in the coffee mill to make this kind of dark soil that's full of this sea funk and salty sesame flavor. It's just delicious. And it all comes together on this plate in this beautiful little radish garden, and to me just eats so harmoniously. The crunch, the creaminess from roasting them, the marinating, the pickling, all that comes together. Dan Dan noodles at its most basic are noodles with chili oil and pork. This is like one of these original street foods. You know, a guy used to walk around these villages, he'd had a long stick on his neck and two pots hanging off one side. One pot was full of the noodles and the hot water, and the other one was full of sauce, and he'd go like this and you'd have your Dan Dan noodles right off the street. And so I set off to create our own version of that, of course a vegan version. We do these 5 spiced mushrooms on top. You have the sauce, and the secret ingredient is tahini, some sesame paste. And that way we get to add as much heat as we want. Tons and tons of heat, but it's kind of tempered with the tahini. So you have this canvas of sesame paste to paint these really spicy, vivid flavors on. And on top of that, we have our ginger and our Sichuan peppercorns and all the great things that make Sichuan food what it is. Sichuan food just completely changed everything for us when we got to try it. It's just addictive.
By the time you get to dessert, you should be full, right? You're eating for the soul at that point, so you want it to be absolutely decadent, rich, beautiful, perfect. And yet at the same time, sort of the mission of a vegetable restaurant, I love the idea of sneaking in some vegetable ingredients. And I think carrots are really the perfect example because of carrot cake. It's such an obvious one. So for a long time, I stayed away from it because I thought it was too cliche. But I thought, you know what, let's do it. But rather than just serve a slice of carrot cake, we decided to present it a little differently. So it's actually got 2 layers of cream cheese, one that's done in a sort of panna cotta style. We have chunks of moist carrot cake that are layered in. And then we also take some roasted sort of wheels of carrot and some golden raisins and sort of plump them back up so that they're a little bit soaked and juicy. We do a scoop of a roasted carrot ice cream. When I was a little girl, my mom used to make a pot roast with carrots. I remember the flavor of the carrots when they were roasted like that. There was this salty savoriness to them. So for this ice cream, we actually roast the carrots ahead of time, and it ends up having this beautiful savory kind of quality to it. So a scoop of that in there. We do a walnut streusel to give a little bit of crunch and texture in there. And the last element, of course, is the cream cheese frosting. I'm a frosting girl. Like some people get the birthday cake and they just want the cake, and I'm like, give me the corner piece with like all the extra piping. So to me, having that frosting in there is really important. And to me, it just like delivers on everything you want out of a perfect carrot cake.
New York is saturated with vegan restaurants. DC had very, very, very few.
Yeah, the restaurants were all excellent at accommodating a vegan diner, but they didn't specialize in it. A lot of people are coming in here and they want to have a fantastic meal and try some really great food. But we've been doing this a really long time, really carving out our own approach to cooking vegan food. So it's just fascinating to see how people approach their meal differently. No longer did they have to have an entree that had protein, starch, veg, and sauce. It was sort of like, okay, I'm going to be more open-minded to all kinds of food. So I think that allowed us to really develop and sort of push boundaries. So I feel like we've become like vegan translators, you know?
Yeah.